another video. If you don't know me, I'm Karissa, I'm an artist, and this is 16 of my favorite art supplies. These are the things that I use the most frequently, like over and over and over again, and have been using for years, with a few fun things thrown in, I'll say. Starting strong, number one, just some classic white artist tape. This particular roll is from Blick, but I'm pretty sure you could get this at any art store. I like white artist tape better than the blue tape because the blue tape rips my paper and this one doesn't. I don't know what's different about them, but the white one's better. Okay, next we have a Winsor & Newton Cotman watercolor travel set. This is not the standard size one, which is I think like this big. This is the more expensive version because it comes with a brush, but it has more space to like blend some colors. It has this little water guy that comes out that you can lock in. And then also, I never do this. It's like really hard to pull it out because there's like layers of paint stuck. Generally, you're supposed to be able to pull this piece out and then you have more like mixing space. However, I never use it, and as you can see, it's basically stuck. A little pro tip for the colors that you don't have or don't have room for, you can do a little line on the edge here of watercolor paint and let it dry and then use it the same way you would a pan color. Kneadable eraser. I feel like this is self-explanatory. I don't like plastic erasers. They always ruin everything. Kneadable all day, every day. Unless it gets hair in it, and then immediately in the trash. Immediately. There's no, you can't redeem that, you can't fix it. It's gone forever, throw it away. Okay, next we're talking inking. So ink-wise, I have this Leonard & Co. Birmingham. I know, this looks so fancy, but it's really not. It's a set from Michaels. It's a pen, and then you get all the little tips inside. I pretty much exclusively only use 2 tips, mostly this one. I think this is the smallest one they have. And then there's one larger one in here. Don't use the calligraphy tips, which are the ones that have a flat top. And they also have this like backing piece that's supposed to hold more ink. I never use that because every time I've tried to use it, it always ends up like exploding more ink on the page than I want. It's just more frustrating than helpful. Maybe if I learned how to use a calligraphy pen correctly, I would find it helpful, but this works just fine for me. I love using a calligraphy pen. I like the freedom and expressiveness that the strokes give. However, if I'm on the go, you can't catch me carrying around a calligraphy pen and ink. I will be using a Pilot pen. It just needs to be a 0.38. I don't really care what the pen is, it needs to be black and a 0.38. The stinky part about Pilot pens is they're not waterproof, so you really need to pay attention to what you're doing and what order you're doing it in. Otherwise, your work is just kind of smeared with black. I do use micron pens sometimes, however, they're not my favorite, so we're not talking about those. In cahoots, in collaboration, in tandem, in whatever. With my calligraphy pen, I use Higgins waterproof ink. I have literally bought this container of ink one time and it's still half full. So planning on using this guy until I croak, you know? And honestly, it's probably half full because I've spilled it so many times, not because I've used that much ink. Next up, pencils. What artist doesn't use pencils? I mean, probably some if you're digital. No, you use an Apple Pencil if you're digital. Again, what artist doesn't use pencils? I don't really care about the pencil. It can be any pencil. This is a Kimberly General pencil. I don't know. I don't really care, it just needs to be an H pencil. I like the lines being lighter and the lead being harder. Sometimes I will use a mechanical pencil. This mechanical pencil is from years and years ago when I used to work for my grandpa's business. The only reason why I like it so much is because it's a 0.5 mechanical pencil. And if you can't tell with the pen, the skinnier the better. Okay, in relation to pencils, I use this. This whole video is just me looking at the brand name of my supplies and realizing I've never once even thought about what this name is and how to pronounce it. And then I'm trying to talk to you about it. A Tagal pencil sharpener. I'm pretty sure it's $5 on Amazon. It's not really that fancy. However, the cool thing about this pencil sharpener is you can change the angle that you're sharpening your pencil at, which if you use a pencil sharpener for colored pencils as well as regular pencils, that's kind of a game changer because colored pencil lead is much softer than graphite lead. An example of that is, you know, you can like put it down low and get like a more pointed, a taller V. I'm having a hard time describing this. And then maybe a shorter V with a lower number. Anyways, I find it really useful for colored pencils. It keeps the leads in soft colored pencils from breaking as much by sharpening them at an angle that works better for them. Which leads me into my favorite colored pencils, obviously, Prismacolors. If you've ever watched a single art supply video where someone has even touched a colored pencil as an artist, they're talking about these pencils because they're great. They're the GOAT of pencils for a reason. The LeBron James, if you will. The Tiger Woods. Whoever is the GOAT of football. I don't know who that is. I also don't know why I said LeBron James. I don't watch basketball. Anyways, okay. The other types of colored pencils that I use are the Faber Castell Polychromos pencils. I do like these. They're definitely a harder lead than the Prismacolor ones. However, I have a giant set of them, so I'm just going to keep using them. The Prismacolor ones are a little bit better in quality, I would say, but I think they're both really great. The cool thing about the Polychromos ones, though, is you can sharpen them to a much finer point because the lead is harder. Prismacolor ones, sometimes I have a really hard time with that. Like I can sharpen it to a point and then the second it touches the paper, it's like crumbling. Okay, next, a lot of the supplies that I use, I don't have super strong opinions about. I've just tried some things and what I'm using is what works the best for me. However, brushes, I have really strong opinions about because the second a brush is losing its shape or the bristles are falling out or anything like that, I'm frustrated. And I expect a lot from my brushes and I expect them to last a long time because I do take care of them. I don't leave them sitting in water. I don't leave them all disgusting and gross. Granted, that's kind of easy to do when you're doing watercolor, but I don't treat them like trash, so I expect them to last a long time. My favorite brushes are Princeton Velvet Touch brushes. They come in tons of shapes and sizes, and I have a lot of them. They're great, and I also like the way that they feel. Maybe the velvet touches the handle itself because it does feel like velvet a little bit, which is nice. Maybe that's what that is referring to. I don't know. In addition to my trusty pencil sharpener, I like to keep a little trash can on my desk, okay? My trash can happens to be the little ground dude from Animal Crossing. I don't remember what these are called right here. Anyways, my friend got me this when I worked in an office with her, and I think he's fabulous. He's my little trash can. He holds all my pencil shavings and maybe some cheese stick wrappers too, every once in a while. Maybe some pistachio shells if I'm snacking. I think he's very essential because nothing is worse than when you're working and you're in the flow and you sharpen a pencil and then your pencil sharpener is jammed full and you can't sharpen it anymore. And oh no, you have to get up and go throw the pencil shavings out. No. Just put them in your trash can. For paints, I like to use Winsor & Newton's Cotman watercolors. These are their student grade watercolor paints. I don't think I've ever used professional watercolor paints in my life because I'm not rich like that. And also, maybe this is a little self-reflection of me, I don't feel like my work is deserving of using professional watercolors. I feel like I'm still in the growing student amateur phase, and so I feel like these paints are appropriate for me. In addition to my paints, I'm sorry, Dad. I know you're watching this and I know you're saying this, but hey, this tool is so essential it made it in this video. In addition to my paints, I have this pair of channel locks that I straight up stole from my dad's garage. These are essential. I cannot function without them because I don't know why these little tiny tubes, the paint dries. Well, this one's easy, but the paint dries and it's impossible to get the lid off. And this is the only thing that I can use to get the lid off. This one is not dry, but A lot of other ones, they're dry. So yeah, I use these a lot. Thanks, Dad. I think of you every time I use them. When I'm not on the go, when I'm painting at home, I'm using my porcelain palette. I keep all my watercolors in it. I also labeled them with a Sharpie. Before you panic, you can use nail polish remover or alcohol and just rub it off. The labeling was cool at first, but now I have memorized where all the colors go on the palette, and so the labeling doesn't matter as much anymore. I would say maybe every 2 months I try to wash this because it gets kind of gross. It's way better than the plastic ones that you buy at like Michael's or whatever. My favorite sketchbooks are Stillman & Birn sketchbooks. I've used quite a few sketchbooks. I haven't used all the sketchbooks out there, but I feel like I've used a decent amount. And I really love the quality of Stillman & Birn, and I love the way they lay when you open them, which I would argue is maybe the biggest deal when it comes to a sketchbook. Well, no, the paper inside is the biggest deal, but the way that they lay is maybe the second most important thing. I hate spiral bound sketchbooks. This is my 4th Stillman & Birn sketchbook, and my first one in the Gamma series, which is going great so far. I don't have any paper listed in this video. Of course, I love Arches watercolor paper, but I'm not rich like that, so I don't paint on Arches watercolor paper all the time. I'll use a lot of Canson paper or Strathmore paper. I feel like, generally speaking, the student grade or amateur papers are all kind of the same, and they're all perfectly decent. However, if I'm really excited about a piece or I'm like, this is a serious piece, I'll probably use Arches watercolor paper. Last but certainly not least is my little Bob Ross bobblehead. Yes, I've seen the Bob Ross documentary. Yes, it's really sad to me that his son does not get anything from Bob Ross merchandise. It's a pretty evil situation. If you like Bob Ross and you haven't watched that documentary, what are you even doing? You should definitely go watch it. It is really sad though. However, this bobblehead is really significant and special to me. Bob Ross holds a special place in my heart. I grew up watching my grandpa watch Bob Ross. I think the very first painting I ever did was on my grandpa's back porch, and we were following a Bob Ross tutorial together. I have no idea where that painting is. I wish I did, but he used to say little things, but the battery's dead, so he doesn't anymore. I hope you enjoyed my 16 favorite art supply items. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you for being here, and I will see you next time. I think I put a hat on because I was trying to hide the scar on my face. I don't know what I was thinking. It's not like that hid anything. A bonus art supply for the credits. Keep a jar of snacks on your desk. You never know when you'll get snacky.